Hello everyone, and welcome to another Ask a Geographer session with me, Professor John Anderson from the School of Geography and Planning, Cardiff University. What is stew-gentrification? Can you give an example of a place that has been stew-gentrified? What a great phrase. It's a phrase that is relatively new, and it's based on a phrase and a process that I'm sure you're quite aware of, this process of gentrification, this process of a particular area through regeneration processes, perhaps encouraging more middle class people, more affluent people into an area, and therefore lifting an area economically, but having particular consequences for the local generation that might not be so affluent, and then not being able to afford housing, being pushed out. And if they're being pushed out from the housing stock, where do they go? What happens to them? So an economically led regeneration process might become a form of gentrification with potentially negative social consequences. Okay, now this process of gentrification might happen in particular areas of a city where students live, and this is where the process of stew-gentrification comes in. I've done a podcast to talk about this in general. The idea is that students may be becoming more middle class. They may be, particularly in Russell Group universities, universities where you need high grades to get in, the A's and the B's of this world, the research-led institutions. They encourage students to attend that either have family money or have access to credit. Okay, and they want to live a life not of the traditional students slumming about in greasy spoon cafes and going to late night clubs and all that sort of stuff, but to live the life that they want to aspire to after they've been students. They want to live in really nice houses with, great kitchens and showers and all this sort of stuff, high-end studio flats, and go to nice cafes and have their mochaccino latte cafe culture as part of their student lives. As a consequence of that, areas that were once studentified in nature are themselves becoming middle class, with a whole range of facilities, bistros, delis, high-end cafes, maybe even high-end gyms in those locations that were once thought to be beyond the economic ability to pay of students, but now students are willing to buy those higher-end facilities. And we see this new process, not simply of gentrification or studentification, but stew-gentrification. And an example of that is in Cathays in Cardiff, and I've done a little film about that if you want to know more.